Both my husband and I have been reborn. In this life, when he passed by me, he rushed to save Li Ying, though he could not even swim. His back was firm and joyful. My heart also felt light. At last, I no longer have to scheme every day to keep him alive. I never loved Li Ying, and Li Ying never loved me. We became husband and wife only because of the words repay life-saving grace with one's body. Sadly, after 15 years of marriage, Li Ying still never understood what responsibility and burden meant. Yet to me, being husband and wife meant that, whether with or without affection, whether he was cold or indifferent, I still had to fulfill my duty as his principal wife. It was not about love or hate, only about morality and duty. Had he not once saved me, had this marriage not been decreed by the emperor? I gazed toward the distant lake, my thoughts drifting. That day was the 70th birthday of Li Ying's grandmother, with kin and old friends gathered. I went with my mother to offer birthday wishes. While the ladies conversed, we young daughters of noble houses gathered together. Someone mentioned that the lake in the Li household was unique, from which one could glimpse the young master in the front hall. Everyone was eager to see. Though I had no interest, I could not spoil their delight. When the boat reached mid-lake, our laughter drew attention from the front hall. At that moment, a strong force shoved me from behind into the water. I could not swim. Worse, in my struggle, my leg cramped. I flailed, while cries of alarm rose from the boat, splashes sounding around me. Just as I was about to sink, Li Ying leapt in to save me. By then I had already lost consciousness. When I awoke, rumors had spread, my reputation was gone. For reasons unknown, the emperor issued an edict, granting marriage between me and Li Ying. From then on, everything changed. People called it heaven's will, a blessed fate. I also heard then that a girl named Meng Lianxin had fallen into the water and was rescued by the third prince, Luo Jiaying. Because of her lowly status, her family spread word they were willing for her to become his concubine, but he refused, and the matter was hushed. Yet the Meng family did not give up. They kept Meng Lianxin hidden in her chamber. A year later, the third prince suddenly received orders to lead a campaign. Somehow the Meng family persuaded the empress to send Meng Lianxin into his residence, hoping to secure her place by force. But 5 years later, when the prince returned victorious, he immediately cast her out. Soon after, he returned to the frontier. The Meng family once more sent Meng Lianxin back into the residence, saying, "Alive she is the third prince's woman, dead she is his ghost." Yet the prince never came back again. The empress, resentful, turned her anger upon Meng Lianxin and the Meng family. Now Meng Lianxin remains in the residence, a servant bullied by all. It was only once, when Li Ying was drunk, that he fondled a white jade hairpin meant for a woman and muttered Meng Lianxin's name, that I began to investigate. I then discovered the deep secret, the one he always wanted to marry was Meng Lianxin. But his mother despised the Meng family, thought Meng Lianxin worthless, and firmly opposed the match. Li Ying wept and begged, even went on a hunger strike, before his mother reluctantly agreed. Who would have thought, fate mocks man, and all is beyond control. His wish, in the end, was nothing but an empty dream. His mother believed that once he was married, he would sever that old affection. But he could not let go, always sunk in gloom. I tried with all my heart to comfort him, even promised to use my family's power, pledging to the Meng family that I would help him take Meng Lianxin as a favored concubine. Alas, the Mengs refused, unwilling to let her be reduced to concubinage. Li Ying grew even more despondent, drowning in wine, blaming me for lowering Meng Lianxin's status. Even the elders of the Li family began to reproach me, saying I had failed to keep my husband's heart, letting him fall from a gentle scholar into a drunken libertine, ever reminiscing about Meng Lianxin's virtues. After all, Li Ying once saved my life, and because of me he could not be with the woman he loved. So I could not argue, nor could I request release from the Li household. I could only think of other ways to make amends. I advised him, if he could build merit on the official path, Perhaps he could beg the emperor for an edict to marry Meng Lianxin as a formal wife. Meng Lianxin had always been devoted to him, surely she would not refuse. Ling Huai accepted the idea, and with my family's support, his career advanced smoothly. But each time he looked at me, his face darkened. Before he could reach success, news arrived that Meng Lianxin had been sent into the sixth prince's residence. Helpless, he laid the blame upon me. This time, I could not endure, it was clearly not I who placed her there. So I sought out concubines resembling her in appearance and temperament. Though he proclaimed he loved only Meng Lianxin, his body proved otherwise. Soon, those concubines were all with child. I no longer wished to bear his children, so I had long taken drafts to prevent conception. Thus, I treated those women kindly, only hoping they would give birth to sons. In time, I claimed all 5 daughters and 1 son under my name, making them rightful heirs, children of the principal line. As for Ling Huai, of little use to begin with, he easily fell into the snares I had already set. But alas, good people die young, while the vile linger long. 15 years slipped by. After returning from temple, I lay down as usual. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that boat, 15 years earlier. A dream. A spark flashed in my mind. I turned sharply. A sudden force pressed down on my back. The last thing I saw was that white jade hairpin. Ah, so it was her. Why? Falling into the water once more, the only thought in my head was, had I known, I would have learned to swim. When I thought history would repeat itself, Ling Huai did not even glance at me, only swam hurriedly past, toward someone behind me. Relief welled in my chest. Good. In this life, Ling Huai and I are severed for good. The water rose above my head. I slowly closed my eyes. Suddenly, a firm hand grasped my arm, pulling me from the depths. In my days, I was held close in a warm embrace, heat chasing away the cold. As consciousness faded, a clear gentle voice rang in my ear, "Do not fear." It was the third prince, Luo Jiaying. How fortunate, the man was a true gentleman. When I awoke, seeing familiar yet distant surroundings, I understood. I had returned to the past. And Ling Huai as well. From then, I remained in seclusion, recovering. Ling Huai went 3 times to propose marriage to the Meng family. The first time, I was still ill. The second, I was still unwell. The third, though recovered, he kept returning to beg. Like the tale of 3 visits to the thatched cottage. Strange, were they not so deeply in love? Why such circuitous trouble? The world loves gossip. Stories of Ling Huai and Meng Lianxin's devotion spread throughout the capital, tales of gifted scholar and fair beauty, retold like stage lines, as if storytellers lay beneath their bed. Even so, he still had no imperial decree, and the Mengs would not agree. Truly strange. But all of that has nothing to do with me. In fact, I should thank them, for it kept my bond with the third prince untainted. Good. We each had a bright future. I savored tea and pastries, leisurely reading medical texts. My elder brother came with tonics, smiling, "Little sister, is your health fully restored?" Eyes curved in delight, I rose, spirit brimming. "Elder brother, I am healthier than ever." He frowned, a hint of displeasure in his gaze. "Little sister, a woman should be gentle, soft-spoken." Ah yes. Whether from too much study or simply born so, my elder brother was always bound by pedantic thought. I only smiled and nodded, not bothering to argue. My elder brother straightened his robe, sitting upright. "Little sister, do you still remember the eldest son of the Li family, Ling Huai?" "What?" My lips instantly turned cold. "Isn't he the one who's been feeding every storyteller in the capital lately, that Ling Huai?" "Little sister, why speak so harshly? At the 70th birthday banquet of the Li matriarch, did you not also attend? Did you not notice him?" I looked at him in disbelief, but his expression was stern and unwavering. Was my brother mocking me? The entanglement between Li Yinghua and Meng Lianxin was known even by children of 7 or 8. Yet he asked if I had taken notice of him. Elder brother, you were there that day as well. Did you not see Li Yinghua risk his life to save Meng Lianxin? If not, you must have locked yourself indoors these past days. Outside, the whole city is abuzz, calling them a match made in heaven, the scholar and the beauty. And here you ask me if I admired him. Utterly laughable. My brother glared. Little sister, you should study the women's precepts more. Look at your sharp tongue and narrow heart, you shame me. I rolled my eyes inwardly. His words brushed past like the wind. Then he turned again to Li Yinghua. Brother Li saved her out of noble character, only entangled because a base-born woman clings to him, such is his kindness. Besides, men with multiple wives and concubines are but the way of the world. You as principal wife, she as concubine, all would be in harmony. Brother Li is learned, upright in conduct. Were you not my blood sister, I would say you are unworthy of him. Now that he faces hardship, if you were to wed him, he would surely be grateful and cherish you. Today, Brother Li himself said he still thinks of you, eager to marry you. I smiled faintly. Thank you, brother, for worrying over me. I understand now. After 3 failed proposals, Li Yinghua has lost face, so he seeks me as a shield. Shameless indeed. I arched a brow, looking at him with suspicion. Brother, are you my kin, or Li Yinghua's advocate? Not to mention that the talents of the Gu family far outshine the Li's. Even our father is superior to his. Should you not be saying he is unworthy of me, not the reverse? My brother slammed the table, shouting. Gu Sitao. You are a woman, yet so bitter-tongued, so narrow-hearted. Whether you will or not, you must marry. I could no longer endure. Clearly, my brother's head was full of weeds. My marriage is not for him alone to decide. To claim I must wed whether I wish it or not, This life is not the last. Li Yinghua has no life-saving grace toward me now, nor any public encounter binding us. His reputation today is half true, half false. Even if my parents were muddle-headed, they would never force me to marry him. There is no benefit in such a union. What noble family would make a losing bargain? I thought back to my past life. Before the rumors spread, my brother urged our parents, pressed me to repay with marriage, praising Li Yinghua's virtue, saying the Gu and Li households were equals and would support each other. He claimed if I married, it would be a rare blessing. How naive I had been. Li Yinghua was shameless, and the Li household a mire. A husband cold and indifferent, a mother-in-law sharp-tongued, a father-in-law who turned a blind eye, others trampling while I was down. I endured, but when I could no longer, I sought help from my family. Their reply was my brother's letter. The Gu family does not accept back a married daughter. In despair, I even thought of death. White silk in my hands, my head already within the loop, just one small step. At the peak of anguish, the silk tore. I crashed to the ground. In that moment, I awakened. If I did not fear death, what else could I fear? If I died, only those who loved me would grieve, while enemies would rejoice. The Lis would not shed a tear. Li Yinghua would likely wed another soon after. So the innocent girl died, replaced by me, one who planned every step, who would make those who wronged me suffer all the more. I looked my brother up and down, eyes full of scorn. Brother, what gives you the right to dictate my marriage? Is it because you only passed the provincial exam in your 20s? Or because you have achieved nothing still? You are outrageous. He stormed off in fury. I shook my head, sighing. My brother truly needed self-cultivation, his temper was still too rash. The matter baffled me. Li Yinghua's actions I could understand. What I could not fathom was why, if he and Meng Lianxin were so deeply in love, had 3 proposals failed. And why had she pushed me into the water? Why then jumped in herself? Could it be that Meng Lianxin, too, willingly sought to cling to the third prince? But if so, why push me into the lake? How could she be so certain the prince would save her? All was mist and haze. I had never been close to Meng Lianxin, and perhaps would never understand her mind. It was nothing more than Li Yinghuai's one-sided infatuation, truly laughable. Ha, ha, ha. After thinking for a long while, though my elder brother had offered part of an answer, I still decided to bring the matter before father. Father, elder brother dares to decide on his own, wishing to marry your daughter to Li Yinghuai. Father gave a cold laugh. Gusuachi, are you trying to overturn the heavens? Has the Gu family put you in charge? My brother stole a glance at me, then muttered, "Oh, father, this son does not dare." Father scolded on, "Have you lost your wits? Li Yinghuai entangled with a woman in disgrace, the Li household in chaos, and you would push your sister into the fire pit. For him to approach you with such shady business, and you agreeing, your brain must still be wrapped in afterbirth." I added, "Perhaps elder brother has studied too little, leaving him time for such foolishness." Father nodded in agreement. My brother hurried to defend himself. "Father, Brother Li is truly a good man, only misled before by that woman, but now awakened. Besides, a man who is not romantic wastes his youth. This son believes he will surely treat little sister well." "You believe it? And must I stake my entire life just to prove your belief?" The absurdity made me laugh aloud. But brother would not give up. Moreover, Brother Li once saved my life. We cannot be ungrateful. It was but a childhood incident. He tugged my brother's hand, sparing him from being dragged off by traffickers. In truth, his father's post was secured thanks to our Gu family's standing. That favor had long been repaid. Yet my brother seemed poisoned by Li Yinghuai, obsessed only with repaying gratitude. "Fine," I sneered. "Then you repay with your own body. After all, it is you who owe the debt." Father cut him off decisively, "Enough. Go back and read more books. Your sister's marriage is no concern of yours. If you interfere again, watch your legs." Stung, brother opened his mouth, then closed it again, retreating in silence. Lanterns glowed in 1,000 lights, fireworks blossomed in 7 colors. The annual Lantern Festival arrived amidst cheers and laughter. Having been quiet for so long, perhaps weighed down by study, now at the lively festival, brother appeared once more. He invited me to view the lanterns, and I agreed. Along the streets, the crowd surged, lanterns dazzling, snacks of every kind. Brother did not spare a glance, striding straight ahead with a clear purpose, the century-old cassia tree in the western ward. I and the maids had to hurry with quick steps to keep up. In my heart, I already knew, he must have arranged to meet Li Yinghuai there. Sure enough, beneath the ancient cassia tree adorned with colored lanterns, Li Yinghuai stood with a folding fan, feigning cultured grace. Brother's eyes lit, ready to call out. I quickly signaled the maid beside me. She pointed toward the tree and cried aloud. "Heavens! Is that not young Master Li Yinghuai and Miss Meng Lianxin? What a perfect pair! Truly a match of beauty and talent." She was well chosen, her voice rang louder than the clamor around us. At once, every gaze turned to Li Yinghuai and Meng Lianxin. By the witness of the heavens, Meng Lianxin had just arrived, not yet aware, when all eyes fell upon her. Li Yinghuai looked stricken. All the rumors now solidified into daylight truth. The crowd, thrilled to see with their own eyes, surged forward, encircling them as though enjoying a free play. My brother fought to shield Li Yinghuai, but he was weak and the eager townsfolk pushed him back, his cap even knocked askew. He fretted, circling, muttering, what to do, what to do. How did that woman appear here? Ha! Of course, because I arranged it. The moment brother invited me, I guessed his scheme with Li Yinghuai. I judged Meng Lianxin's mind, sent an unsigned note. As expected, she came right on time. I spared no thought for my brother's flustered state. Turning away, I chose to enjoy the festival for myself. Such a beautiful night was wasted on them. In one hand, I held candied hawthorn, in the other, a lantern. The maids bustled about. My eyes caught the sight of plump, white rice dumplings bobbing in a bowl of syrup. I hesitated, then a slender, fair hand, knuckles well-shaped, lifted a bamboo bowl. I looked up. A man wearing a mask. He raised it slightly, smiling at me. I froze. It was the third prince, Luo Jiaying. I hurried to bow. But he lifted a hand, voice low. No need for courtesy. He replaced the mask, naturally taking my lantern and candied hawthorn, offering me the bowl of sweet rice dumplings and syrup instead. I stammered, third prince. His lips curved gently, eyes warm. Eat. No need to stand on ceremony. That was not the point. He was the third prince. How could I let him serve me? Lowering my gaze, flustered, I whispered, truly, what a coincidence. His gaze held mine, voice steady. Not a coincidence. From the moment you left your gates, I was already following. I lifted my head sharply, searching his eyes. He smiled, gentle as ever. Second daughter of the Gu family, I have reserved a table at Kuman Pavilion. May I have the honor of inviting you? I nodded at once. I had imagined many possibilities, but never this, that the third prince, too, had been reborn. From his words, in the last life he had leapt into the lake intending to save me. But Ling Huai reached first, while Meng Lianxin, pretending not to know how to swim, clung to him, forcing the prince to save her instead. When the rumors began to spread, he had intended to quietly ask me once, yet my elder brother assured him with certainty that I was already enamored with Ling Huai, swearing that I was desperate to marry him. Seeing Ling Huai hesitating, unwilling to propose, while I, burdened by gossip, appeared melancholy, he went before the emperor, pleading for a marriage decree, thus binding me to Ling Huai. Soon after, the border erupted in war. Without hesitation, he went to the front. One campaign lasted 5 years before he returned in triumph. Upon his return to the capital, hearing news of me, unease gnawed at him. He came in secret, only to witness me hanging myself. Silently, he cut the white silk, watching over me all night before leaving. Later, he submitted a memorial, begging the emperor to grant me and Ling Huai a divorce. The emperor refused, but after his persistent persuasion, his majesty wavered. Alas, war broke out once more, and he had to depart again. In the end, though victorious, he fell to the enemy's poison schemes and never came home alive. As I listened to the third prince recount the past, bitterness welled in my chest. So all along, unbeknownst to me, someone had struggled quietly for my sake. The third prince looked at me, his eyes luminous. Second daughter of the Gu family, I know, you too have been reborn. I sipped the fruit wine slowly. Third prince, I wish to know, why did you leap into the water to save me that day? He lowered his gaze, unable to meet mine. The rear courtyard of White Horse Monastery, that game of chess, do you still remember? I stared in astonishment at his reddened face. So, you were there as well? Yes. I was sitting in the tree, and saw a young maiden of 15 solve a puzzle I could not unravel. I was shaken, and from then, I noticed you. Then I found you not only skilled in chess, but versed in medicine. I do not know when it began, but my heart was entirely taken. So he confessed, with such candor, his intention had always been to wed me as his principal wife. I whispered, if the third prince has also been reborn, then you know I was wed to another. He nodded, voice soft. I know. In the last life, I hoped you would be divorced, so that I might marry you. But fate was lacking, and my wish unfulfilled. Gu Sitao, forget the past. Forget others. Listen only to your heart. Will you join your life with mine? That night in bed, his words circled endlessly in my mind, leaving me restless. Truthfully, had I never lived through my past life, I would have accepted without hesitation. After all, the third prince was handsome and upright, his talent in poetry and prose unmatched, his valor on horseback and in battle inspiring. Compared to him, Ling Huai was unworthy even to serve as a menial. But 15 years of unending misery, all born from one word, marriage, left in me a deep scar. Once bitten by a snake, 10 years fearing the rope. Wait. Yesterday, I had left only a note saying I would view lanterns beneath the cassia tree, yet Meng Lianxin appeared at once. Even before I knew the third prince's heart, how could she know? How could she be so certain he would appear? Strange. Far too strange. The next morning, I sat by the lake, feeding the fat fish, lost in fragments of memory about Meng Lianxin in both lives. Suddenly, my brother entered with Ling Huai at his side. Little sister, look who has come. Look who, indeed. Ling Huai stood before me, smug. Sadeo, I wish to marry you as my principal wife, so long as you agree to let Lianxin be my secondary wife. Calmly, I replied, young Master Li, call me the second daughter of the Gu family. Did not Meng Lianxin already refuse you? Where, then, does this talk of secondary wife arise? Ling Huai answered, Lianxin is too kind. She feels her status unworthy of me. For my future, she willingly accepts the place of secondary wife. How noble, what a saint! How many women born legitimate would willingly yield their rightful place to another? Truly touching. Then I wish you eternal joy, hearts bound as one. I will not intrude, lest I disturb your earth-shaking romance. His face stiffened. He stammered, Sadeo, rest assured, household authority, the honor of principal wife, all shall be yours. So he thought himself generous, while I bore hardship, he enjoyed bliss. Too long had my forbearance emboldened him. I sneered. Ling Huai, you think too highly of yourself. You have not a single virtue, yet demand the daughter of a third-rank official. Do you imagine my father would strip your father of office for your sake? He flushed with anger, spat one last line, and stormed off despite my brother's pleas. Gu Sadeo, I never thought you to be such a woman. I misjudged you. Humph. What I became, was it not all thanks to your Li family? In my past life, marrying into the Li household, I never once enjoyed the fortune of a bride. On the wedding night, my husband uttered a few cold words and left to drink alone, leaving me to spend the bridal chamber in solitude. The next morning, when I went to serve tea, no one spoke up for me. Instead, they scolded me for lacking blessing. Grandmother and mother-in-law immediately struck me down with authority, reciting 30 family rules, 25 of which targeted the daughter-in-law. If the mother-in-law had not yet slept, the daughter-in-law must not leave her side. Before dawn, the daughter-in-law must stand at the door to offer morning greetings. One mother-in-law was hardship enough, add a grandmother, and each day I rose earlier than the rooster and lay down later than the cat. Even without fault, I was forced to admit faults. With faults, I was beaten under family law. Even meals were not mine to enjoy, elders ate first, then my husband. How laughable, me, the legitimate daughter of a third-rank official, reduced to eating cold leftovers in the Li household, while they considered it a great honor bestowed upon me. If not for my knowledge of medicine, I might have long since died of illness. As for household management, yes, they entrusted it to me. At the time, I believed it was trust. In truth, it was to make me bear responsibility for failing estates and shops. The Li household had long been in deficit, hoping I would use my dowry to rescue them. Such matters were endless, layers upon layers of grievance. I remember well that winter, bitterly cold. I begged my mother-in-law to allow me to wait inside for her to rise. She mocked me instead, calling me arrogant, unfilial, and lazy. I endured, my heart torn, with none to speak a word in my defense. The child in my womb came quietly, and left just as quietly. My mother-in-law did not care. She blamed me for not tending to myself, punishing me by making me copy the family rules 100 times. Those 100 copies, each stroke carved into my flesh, etched into bone. Only when facing death does one realize it is the easiest, most worthless thing of all. Regret, pain, sorrow, none can be carried across the yellow springs. I once dreamed that the draft of forgetfulness might wash away every grief, that in the next life I would be spared from repeating the same suffering. But no. The torment of this life must be repaid in this life, by my own hand. So I sought out women who resembled Meng Lianxin, and made them Li Yinghuai's concubines. I even sent people to distant pleasure quarters, instructing them to bring back surprises. Under my arrangement, Li Yinghuai had 5 daughters and 1 son. Perhaps heaven too despised him, for that son was not his blood. Whenever I thought of the Li heir lacking Li Yinghuai's lineage, joy surged in my heart. And I had yet more gifts prepared for him. A woman nearly identical to Meng Lianxin, whom he happened upon, he cherished her like treasure, favored her for half a year. Until he contracted a wasting illness, his body collapsing, gasping on his bed. At his side was his father, crippled after a carriage fall. As for his mother, exposed in adultery, reviled by husband and son alike, she was thrown into a pond to drown. The Li matriarch, after so many blows, died of rage and grief. With those stains gone, even the flowers in the Li household seemed fresher. I ruled peacefully as mistress of the Li household. Concubines and children obeyed me, filling my days with amusement. Li Yinghuai and his father lay useless on their sickbeds. We each had our own bright future. I had thought, after so much, Li Yinghuai would learn caution, would no longer dare to provoke. Yet, for the sake of marrying Meng Lianxin, he sought to drag me down again. My elder brother too was muddled, and together they discussed me as if openly, without shame. Rumors rose once more, but this time, they concerned me. Father flew into a rage, immediately ordering my brother to return home, breaking one of his legs. Gu Suachi. Li Yinghuai acts dishonorably, and you collude with him. Do you wish to change your name to Li? You slander your sister's name, behave with lawless arrogance, treat the Gu family as nothing. I will make the Li household regret ever birthing such a son. Within, I applauded. To be defended by father, such a feeling was divine. At that moment, a servant entered to report, at the palace flower banquet, the empress had spoken one word of praise for me. At once, the winds shifted. I looked toward the distant palace. The one who could move the empress's heart could only be the 3rd prince. At noon, I laid a banquet at Coman Pavilion. As the dishes were set, the 3rd prince stepped in. I raised the wine jar, pouring him a cup. 3rd prince, I have nothing with which to repay your heart. The 3rd prince's eyes curved, his smile bright as starlight. 2nd daughter of the Gu family, I admire you, so I wish to help you, not seeking repayment. Only hoping, on the day you choose to marry, you might consider me among your choices. I bit my lip. 3rd prince, you are noble born, destined to be a prince of the realm. I am of ordinary standing, unworthy of you. He smiled with gentle warmth. My father and mother married out of love. My elder brother too. They are all happy, one life, one pair. I wish the same, to find one heart, to grow old together without parting. Looking into his luminous eyes, my heart raced wildly. 3rd prince. I too have been reborn. 15 years was enough to change me beyond recognition. He shook his head softly. You are mistaken. You have not changed. If anything, you make me fall for you more deeply. Heat surged to my face, my ears aflame. No, that is not so. If you knew what I did in my past life. I know. That woman was sent by me, for you to discover. The innocent maiden, bright and pure as snow, I liked her. The decisive woman, sharp and unyielding, daring to love and hate, I like her too. I covered my face with both hands. Heavens! This was the first time anyone had praised me so, my heart could scarcely endure it. Regaining composure, I looked at him. He shook his head lightly. You need not answer me now. Marriage is not evil. In the past, fate mocked you, binding you to the wrong man. In this life, your caution is only natural. But I would wed only the woman I love. I believe, even then, you felt it faintly. Therefore, I can make you happy. I nodded hard. To be admired by such a man, handsome, elegant, upright, was a blessing beyond compare. We dined quietly. What surprised me was how the third prince kept serving me, always choosing what I liked, even deboning fish and meat before passing them over. After the meal, I told him of all the oddities I had noticed about Meng Lianxin. He too found it strange, saying he had already set spies upon her since rebirth, yet nothing unusual had been found, so far. Later, he even led me to ambush Ling Huai. The two of us together, beating him down, I even kicked him several times. Oh, the satisfaction! Without my foolish brother meddling, without Ling Huai thick-skinned at my door, and with the third prince often inviting me out, my life became incomparably joyful. Over time, I realized, when the third prince chose to care for someone, he cherished them like treasure, leaving one helpless to resist. I thought, who could refuse such devotion? And so I agreed to marry him. The moment I nodded, he went straight into the palace to request a marriage decree. Within a single day, all the capital buzzed with news of our engagement. That night, the composed and dignified third prince climbed over my wall. I laughed, watching him flustered. So the third prince too has learned mischief. His face blushed like rouge, more striking than ever. Sadeo, we are engaged now. May I change how I call you? Jiaying. Ying. Each time I called, his face deepened a shade of red. Ying. He gazed at me without blinking, smiling faintly, wordless for a long while. You did not come just to look at me, did you? No. In truth. I wished to tell you something about Meng Lianxin. But just then, a strong force shoved me from behind into the lake. From the day our betrothal was announced, Meng Lianxin had utterly lost control. She locked herself in her room, muttering, No. Heaven let me be reborn not for this. I was meant to be the third prince's wife. I used my memories to lure Ling Huai, thus entering the Li household, attending the birthday banquet. I timed it so, shoving Gu Sadeo into the lake before diving after. Clearly Ling Huai jumped first, why then was it the third prince who saved her? It was because Ling Huai saved me. Why must I now watch that wretch become the prince's wife? How hateful. So that was it. Meng Lianxin too had been reborn. No wonder she schemed so carefully, so practiced in guile. In her eyes, in that life, she should have been the third prince's consort, sharing a lifetime of love. She believed it was only because he saved me that I became his wife. Thus she copied the plan, aiming high. But she had not foreseen, the scheme worked only halfway. The third prince never married her. And Ling Huai, he was truly the most pitiful wretch under heaven. Meng Lianxin refused his proposal not out of humility, but because she never considered him at all. Her true aim was the prince. The third prince and I looked at one another. Who would have imagined all four of us had been reborn? His brows drew tight, his voice seething. Sadeo, had Meng Lianxin not interfered, you would not have suffered so in the past life. I want her dead. I smiled faintly. No need. Repay her in her own way. Better yet, grant her wish. Let her wed Ling Huai. The prince slammed his palm down. Brilliant. I'll see it done. He leapt to the window ledge, then glanced back, voice tinged with shyness. Sadeo, today I only came to look at you. With our betrothal settled, I feel it like a dream, fearing you are but moon in water, flower in mirror. I needed to be certain you are truly beside me. True to his decisiveness, not long after, word spread throughout the city. The marriage between Ling Huai and Meng Lianxin was set, their wedding to be held the next month. The most laughable of all was that Ling Huai even asked my brother to deliver a message to me. Gusadeo, you are a cruel and heartless woman, you will never know happiness. Only I and Lianxin are fated by the heavens. Speechless. Once more my brother was dragged into his folly, angering father beyond endurance. Father immediately sent him back to the countryside, to farm the fields and see if hard labor could mend his temperament. Half a year later, on the second day after my wedding, the Li household sent grim news. Meng Lianxin, unable to endure the harsh family rules and endless torment, had taken advantage of the Lantern Festival, slipped drugged wine to the household, and set fire to the estate. When rescuers arrived, all were ashes, save for Ling Huai, barely clinging to life. Burned over 9/10 of his body, he lingered for a month before death claimed him. Before his final breath, he shrieked. Meng Lianxin. Wretch! You destroyed me, may you fall into the 18th hell. As for me, I felt nothing at all. Not long after, the frontier once more descended into chaos. Though Luo Jiaying had arranged all carefully, he still had to personally lead the campaign. I resolved to follow him, using my medical skills to aid the soldiers at the front, making sure my second life was not wasted. When our eyes met, both of us smiling, I knew our future would only grow brighter. The end.